Countries come in different sizes and shapes. Some of them have a really unremarkable shape like a square or a rectangle, but some do have really interesting shapes, like Japan looks like J, Vietnam looks like S, Italy looks like a high heel boot, Sri Lanka looks like a teardrop, and so on. But no country's shape is as interesting, or I must say unusual, as Chile's. It is just a long strip of land and is also quite thin. Chile measures over 4,000 kilometers north to south, which makes it the longest country in the world, but its average width is just 177 kilometers. To call that narrow would be an understatement. You could cross the country from east to west in just about 2 hours by road, but it would take you about 5 hours to cross it from north to south. By a plane, of course. So how did Chile end up with such a weird shape? Well, it has got to do with the Andes and some wars. Back in the 16th century, it was the era of Spain who were colonizing most of the Americas. They had just conquered the Incas in Peru when they decided they would go southwards in search of some silver and gold, but they couldn't find them much. However, they were impressed with the agricultural potential of Chile's Central Valley and they thought to themselves, maybe we should keep this. And that's how Chile became part of the Spanish Empire. This place was now called Capitania General de Chile. Now, Chile could not be expanded westwards or eastwards because it was sandwiched between the Pacific and the Andes. The Andes are the longest mountain range in the world and are almost impenetrable at an average height of 4,000 meters, with several of its peaks over 6,000 meters. So, Chile could only go north or south, and that's what they did. But before that, back in Europe, Spain's king was overthrown by Napoleon, who installed his brother instead. These circumstances led to growing calls for independence back in Chile, and they finally became independent in the year 1818. But when the Spanish left, Chile didn't look like what it looks now. It was short and skinny. They gained more length north and south through wars. In 1879, Chile fought a war against Bolivia and Peru because they wanted a piece of Atacama Desert, which by the way was very rich in nitrate. But at that time, that area belonged to Bolivia and was their only access to the Pacific Ocean. Chile won the war, and with this, Bolivia lost all access to the sea. Bolivia has been landlocked ever since, and to this day, they are angry about it. Around the same time, Chile wanted to grow longer down south. This place belonged to the Mapuche people, an indigenous tribe who had inhabited the area for centuries. Although the Mapuche people had previously resisted the Spanish and the Incas, they were defeated by the Chileans and hence Chile gained territory southwards. Since then, Chile's shape hasn't changed much, and that is how the country ended up with a long, narrow, unusual shape.